Good afternoon. I am Dr. Valerie Dudley, and today's lecture is on my social identity. Well, in reality, it's really your social identity. For homework, I gave an assignment that I wanted you to create a wiki, and I wanted you to read an article from Dr. Beverly Daniels Tatum that talked about the complexity of social identity. And what I'd really like us to talk about, what I want to do is give you kind of a demonstration of what I'm looking for you to be able to do with your wiki in helping to create it. Dr. Tatum in her article talked about the concept of social identity being a complex one. It's shaped by individual characteristics, family dynamics, historical factors, and social and political context. Who am I? The answer depends in large part on who the world around me says I am. Who do my parents say I am? Who do my peers say I am? What message is reflected back to me in the faces and voices of my teachers, my neighbors, the store clerks around me? What do I learn from the media about myself? How am I represented in the cultural images around me? Or am I missing from the picture altogether? As the social scientist Charles Cooley pointed out a while ago, he said other people are the mirrors in which we see ourselves. When we think about our social identity, we think about the diversity that we represent. And in this model, the diversity iceberg, it kind of gives you a reflection of what we look at when we first meet someone for the first time. So as you see in the iceberg, only 15% is above the waterline. And that's what we make our first impressions generally on when we see a person. So we look, we can identify their race, or, we talk about their clothing or their physical appearance. Maybe you can make a guess about their age, and you can definitely see about their physical ability in some cases. But again, that's only 15% of the whole person. Here we have what's at the waterline, okay? And that's about another 10%. And those are things that we may make assumptions about. Someone's marital status, or their religion, whether it's spirituality, or their gender, okay? But they're not necessarily things that we can really see. We're just making some assumptions. And then you have what's below the waterline. And these are the characteristics that make up the rest of our social identity. And that's about 75%. Okay? That's what you're seeing. And so things like our ethnic background, or education, our sexual orientation, socioeconomic class, military experience, learning ability, language. These are all the rest of the characteristics and components that form our social identity. I wanted to give you a definition of social identity. Social identity is a combination of aspects of ourselves, including some of the things we talked about previously, or I talked about previously in the diversity pyramid. Things like our age, our ethnicity, our race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, nationality, and socioeconomic status. That makes us part of a social group, and that's part of what we call our social identity. From our social identity, the messages that we get, it helps to inform how we lead as individuals, how we respond to other people, and also how other people respond to us. When you think about it, the cultural lens is one of our filters. It's a filter through which we see the world, and through how the world sees us, or others see us as well. And in the cultural lens, and so that's part of our social identity, is our cultural aspect. The things that are our values, our beliefs, our behaviors, the expectations that we have of ourselves and of others. And just like if you see in this image, you have yourself, and then you have the other person looking at you. And as each person is looking at the other, some of their cultural background and baggage comes into how they view the other person and what they believe about other people and the expectations that they have about others. The more people understand the influence of culture on themselves and others, the more effective communications can be between them. And sometimes you know that you experience when you're talking to someone that may be of a different background than yourself, you feel like you're not necessarily communicating effectively. Well, a lot of that, background, I would say, I call it background noise, comes from our culture. And it's because those are messages that we also get about who other people are. Social identity and culture, it's the lens, again, as I mentioned, how we look at the world, and it's how we view the world and how others view us. As you can see in this graphic image, if you're looking at, people hear that sometimes people say rose-colored glasses. Well, if you're looking at glasses through this, the basic idea is that we see people as we see ourselves. In a lot of ways, we want to see people as we see ourselves. And so if I'm African American, I might see people through that part of my identity. Someone that might be a heterosexual male, or a trans woman, or someone that's American, or a woman that's lesbian, all those different aspects of their social identity has an impact on how they view other people. And the assignment that I gave was to create a wiki for class, and I wanted you to use the I Am From poem template. And as you can say, you complete each of the following stanzas by answering the question asked. There really is no right or wrong answer. It really is your own experience. You're telling your own personal story. And you can see it starts off with I am from, and then I want you to list the things that if someone walked into your home or your apartment, what would they see? I am from. List the sights and sounds that you grew up with in your neighborhood, in your community. I am from. Talk about the foods that were celebrated at holidays or family gatherings. And then I want you to talk about and say two or three familiar sayings or more that you heard your family saying to you as you were growing up. And then I'd like you to list the groups of people that you feel that were most responsible for you being who you are today. Now, as I say list, what I really actually want you to do is do this in a graphic form, to show pictures and images. So if you have pictures from family and home, if you take pictures of your apartment, your house, use that in creating your wiki, your web page, that will really resemble who you are and show your fellow classmates a little bit more about you. Okay? Well, I'm going to give you a demonstration. I did one for myself. Well, I am from, and this is by Valerie Dudley. So I am from forest green carpets, that go up the stairs and all through my living room. I am from a really comfortable leather couch and chair, and in this particular chair I have my Topsy-Turvy doll and my blanket because I'm always cold. I am from Smokey, my little fat cat who loves to run all over the place and lay on the carpet. I am from African American artists, and with pictures, I have pictures of their work on the walls, and that's the kind of work that I love to see, artwork. I am from kids playing basketball in the streets. The center picture is double dutch, girls jumping double dutch, kids in the driveway running up and down, screaming, playing and laughing. I'm also from hearing, hip hop music and old songs like Will Smith from singing Summertime. And then I'm also from the sights and sounds in my community, police cars and sirens and helicopters. I am from mac and cheese, collard greens, and fried chicken. I am also from barbecued spare ribs, fried shrimp, collard greens, black-eyed peas, candied yams. And I'm also from my homemade special bread pudding. This is a family delight that people always ask me to make. Even at church, we've had bazaars and they ask me to make pans so they can sell it. It's really, really good. And I am from God would not put on you more than you can bear. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Work hard and study. I love you to the moon and back. And stop picking on your sister. One day she'll be bigger than you. I am from my grandmother Mame, my sister Lynn, my mother Careve, my grandmother and grandfather who lived in Africa. I am from members of my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, which my mother, sister, and grandmother were all a part of. And I am from my church family. This is Team Healing Hands. That's a team that we have. We raise funds for breast cancer and breast cancer awareness. And actually, we've been awarded one of the highest honor of being one of the churches that raises the most money for the last 2 years. So this is an example of what I'd like to see you do with your wiki. I want you to be as creative as you can be with this project. I think that you'll have fun in putting it together, and I know that your classmates will really, really enjoy learning more about you. And hopefully this will also help you get the sense of what your own social identity is. Stop and think about what are the things that are important to you. Okay, well, this is the end of my instruction, my lecture, and I hope that this was helpful. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Goodbye.